It's always like your birthday with a package from China, so let's go. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in, because in this video we are going to take a close look at the Gamebox 4K Game MT. So this is a professional chip device. Yeah, they love to put weird stuff on boxes. That is absolutely one thing for sure when it comes to products from China sometimes. So in here we're going to get Connect to V, classic games, double rocker control and 3D games. But what are we going to get actually with these things? So what I understand of, they are like Android based devices. Sometimes you're going to get yourself a product like Emulation as a piece of software you can download for free. But so nowadays we do have these, let's say, products that you can pick up. And what you're actually going to get is a modified Android box with completely setup of a firmware. So the only thing you need to do is remove the cap, plug this thing in your HDMI port. And not to forget, of course, get the thing some juice through the USB and micro USB. The other port is for your controller, and that's it. You have a game system. The downside to these things is they don't have like massive like storage, 64. Some have 128 GB, but the SD cards need to be backed up with Balena Archer or one of those many softwares, simply because they are like using really cheap SD cards, and they are pretty damn bad and get corrupted out of nothing. But let's see what is in this magical box. Of course, then we're having the USB dongle that we need to plug in here. They have the configuration that we're only having one dongle and two controllers. Yep, it's like freaking magic. So in here we're going to get most of the time, let's say, cheap products, or at least when it comes to the controllers. So first thing is that the overall quality, it's going to be in hit or miss. Some of them are smelling really chemical, but it's not like the really cheap ones. We do have like rubberized joystick, the D-pad feels kind of nice to be honest, and the same goes for the ABXY. They are like knockoff PlayStation 2 controllers, and in here we're going to get the battery compartment for the two AAA batteries. At the bottom we're going to get an on-off switch, and that's the same for Player 2. But we're going to get even more stuff, yep, more goodies. So we're going to get the USB cable. Okay, take consideration, you can try to use the USB power from your television, but sometimes you need to get yourself a normal phone charger for a couple of dollars. You can buy them separately on AliExpress, for example. And then of course we're going to get the extension cord. I'm happy they're giving you this. And there is one thing you need to take consideration when you're looking at the game system. Where's the game system? Where is it? Oh, found it. So what you're going to get with these things, they are very wide and or thick, how you want to say it. But the main problem is sometimes it will just cover a second port, or it doesn't fit at all. And with these converters you can just basically extend it and you don't have that issue. And not last but not least, we're going to get ourselves the toilet paper manual deluxe. This is not in English. And it will give you a quick overview of what you can actually do, how does it actually works. And yeah, what you can see already, it does have a search function. So let's plug this bad boy in and just see if it's going to be any good. Because with these, like say, plug and play devices, it isn't hit or miss. So this is a great example. So when you want to try to plug it in, it doesn't go in all the way. And this can be a problem, and a problem with the functionality. So I think I'm going to need the freaking extension cable. Well, let's see what we're actually going to get with this device. I already said it before, but let's plug it in. So the first thing that we're going to do is plug this thing in an extension cord. This is a very long extension cord, by the way. Sometimes they are normally quite short. The next thing that we need to do is get the USB. I'm going to try to plug this thing into my television. There isn't USB port free. They also sometimes the service port, but we're not going to service anything. We're just going to plug it in for the power. Oh man, you cannot see it. Let's unplug this thing and let's show you over here. Let's plug it in. So when powering on my television over here, it will automatically boot up the dongle. Take consideration, if you're going to power it on and you're just going to watch television, it's possible that it will stay on all the freaking time. So when the device is powered on, actually what we're going to get is one big gigantic list. It's absolutely huge. Pressing the shoulder buttons L and R1, we can go between the classes. So with the classes they mean category. So we have Arcade, Famicom, Super Famicom, Megadrive, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Classic. Then we have even Game Boy Color, PlayStation and Atari. This is the same configuration that we have seen with previous decks. So over here we have the history list, so that shows what kind of games you've played before. And of course the collection, that's also known as the favorites. And the search function. So let's take a close look if this is going to be working any decent. Now absolutely, that's cool. That is just a fact that it's going to be, it doesn't work at all. Let's put it that way. Look at this. Like I'm trying to search Sonic and we're going to get all kinds of crap. Oh boy. Another feature when pressing select and start when being in a game, you can go back to the main menu. But before you can do that, over here we're going to get the option to make a quick load, quick save, and even mess around with the screen settings. Yep, we do have aspect ratio option, so we can set it to by 4:3 and continue with the game. So super freaking awesome. So let's go back to the screen settings again. Let's mess around with it. I have noticed it can be a problem if you're going to do that a couple of times, but no problem whatsoever. So let's start off with some Art of Fighting on the Neo Geo arcade system. The D-pad is absolutely annoying to play with because you need to press the button very hard and you're not going to get any response of it. But the overall emulation performance for arcade, I was already suspecting that that's going to be running just fine. Okay, but we have changed out aspect ratio with the previous game, but unfortunately we need to do it every single time. And it is possible it's going to be with every game or every single platform. So we've reached the point that most of these two-dimensional games, or better said, 16-bit and 8-bit stuff runs just fine. And if you wonder, yep, we can change out the aspect ratio if we want to. There we go. And the resume. I don't know if it's going to be exactly the right resolution. I do have very two huge bars at the side, but if the people don't really like the widescreen madness, you can just play it like that. Let's move on to the Genesis now. But also here we don't have any weird stuff going on. But another thing I wanted to check out is the Game Boy Advance. Normally you're just going to play this on a very tiny display and it's going to be looking stretched out. And if you have like a 50-inch television, oh man, it looks absolutely horrible. But I'm really curious about how is the screen settings going to be. How is this going to be like putting it in? Because this is a very interesting thing that it still puts us in a normal resolution. So let's take a close look at the overall performance. So far all the soundtracks are here, all the sound effects. So quite a good performance. I'm quite surprised by this. And Game Boy Classic, oh boy, this looks really bad. Stretched out to the maximum level. That looks slightly better. We don't have any options when it comes to coloring the game, so that's a little bit of a bummer in my opinion. But it's what we're going to get. Also, this seems to be working just fine. Okay, the reason I just wanted to let you hear this, they are using an older emulator, because when you're going to get into the gameplay, it works just fine. Let's check out if they added the soundtracks. That is something they do forget a lot. Another thing I wanted to check out is the screen settings. Let's see if this is going to be completely messed up. Yeah, that looks kind of weird. Now it's more like widescreen compared. What the heck is going on? Okay, let's put it back to full screen. I did notice in the past that we can mess around with it a couple of times and getting different results. But so far there is no better result than that. But PlayStation runs absolutely amazing on this stick. They finally nailed it. I just wanted to check out a final game. Okay, so let's get to the different aspect ratio. Just keep messing with it. Ah, there we go. That I've been noticing with previous game sticks too, that it does have trouble when it comes to PlayStation 1. And yeah, they didn't add the soundtracks. So they still keep doing this. But take consideration, these games are quite huge. I think up to 600 megabytes for one single game sometimes. And the purpose is just like leaving the soundtracks out to make the games smaller and to add more to them to the stick itself. But I think also here we're going to get amazing overall performance. It's kind of cool that they mapped it exactly like the original game on the controller. No input lag whatsoever. But how is it with the construction and the cooling itself? So these things are like very basically put together. The only thing that they're going to get is 2 shells and a PCB. So that's it. That's the only thing. There is no information on the chip. That is the thing that they're doing nowadays, like removing it so nobody knows exactly what it is and how. In here we do have some information. Over here it says here, I think 2022. Top layer, 4 layer, but that's it. There's no information whatsoever. There's no extra cooling, no like tiny metal. But I must say, like putting it in for quite a long time, this thing doesn't get really hot, or at least this particular version. And if you want to put it back together, the only thing that we need to do is just click it. And that's it. Let's put the SD card back in. So take consideration, if the SD card gets corrupted, it's over. It contains a lot of information most of the time, and that's a little bit of a bummer with these things. So they should improve it, absolutely. So with these 4K game sticks, absolutely a hit or miss. Every single one is just completely different. It's a plug and play solution that can play thousands of freaking games all the way up to PlayStation. I must say that I was really surprised when it comes to the overall performance of PlayStation itself. Let me know in the comments what do you think of these game sticks. Do you think it's worth it? I want to thank you all for watching. Consider subscribing and let me know in the comments if you have any questions. And it would be great to see you in the next one.